Hello everyone, welcome to the fourth branch program, the place for common sense. Today is Wednesday, July 10th, 2019. I am MD. Give us 60 seconds, we will give you the world. Live from New York City at the top of the hour, every weekday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Fourth Branch presents discussions, debates, commentaries on social, political issues, current events, sports, entertainment, religion, education, science, and every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. for a full presentation on controversial issues such as abortion, homosexuality, war on blacks. Are Republicans dumber than Democrats? Information which might irritate you, make you cry, make you laugh, but above all, will make you smarter. Join us every time. It is the right thing to do. It is the only way to keep your sanity in a world of chaos, hypocrisy, immorality, and deception. Welcome to Common Sense. I hope you had a wonderful night. If you joined us before, thank you for your participation. Your presence makes the journey a little bit lighter, a tad more bearable. If you join us for the first time, welcome to the Fourth Branch program, the place for common sense. The Fourth Branch program is not associated with any political party, and we at the Fourth Branch do not have any political aspiration. Our ultimate objective is to perfect the union, and to do so, we ought to remove the biggest obstacle of all: ignorance. JFK said that the ignorance of one voter in a democracy impairs the security of us all. So it is extremely important to remove that factor from the equation. Today we're going to spend a great deal of time reading or continuing to read volume 2 of the Mueller report. First, a remark. Conversation that I have had with my fellow Republican got me to think that the Republican Party is likened to a group or members of the party, likened to a group of children, or rather a group of family members sitting around the table and patting one another in the back how they have family values, they go to church, they pay their tithe, they participate in communities activities, they take their children to football game, to recital, Pretty much sounds like really neat community, a very family oriented type of situation. But one individual member of the family dared to ask the unthinkable question: how come we have such great family values and we accept Sister Jan or Jane or Jean, whatever way you want to substitute it for, that's fine by me. How come we accept that Sister Jane is married to a gangster, to a mobster, and there would be complete silence in the room? For good reason. Now, the scenario I just proposed to you seems to be just that, a scenario, a story. But how is it different from what today the Republican Party claims to be? Christian conservative, evangelical, fiscally conservative. I mean, the list goes on and on. If you go to the GOP website, you would think that the only thing better than what they claim to be is heaven. But everything that seems to relate to living a life that you would consider of worth or value, you find that on the side they claim to be any and all of that. That's not something new, we know that, but they continue to claim that, especially in light of their action today, their behavior towards a publicly vile individual, towards someone who show no restraint in terms of displaying his not good for broadcasting. So you have evangelicals, people who claim to be Christian, who worship God, who go to church, who speak properly, don't use obscene words. They're actually shocked when they hear something as simple as "what the hell," because gee, that's not acceptable. So they claim to be everything that they are not. So when the member of the family, with everybody gathered around talking about how great things are for them, they able to afford everything that they can think of, we may not be billionaires, said the father, the head of the household, but we're doing pretty good. Contrast that with what exactly is going on today in the country. The economy is good. What not to like? But the question still lingers. How come we have such great family values, but Sister Jane is married to a mobster and we seem to all okay with that? How come? Now that's a good question, don't you think? How come you claim to be Christian and your support for Donald Trump, one of the vilest individuals that we ever had in politics, is okay? Oh, I forgot. For the same reason, Sister Jane, married to a mobster, is okay because the mobster happened to be helping us living a life of luxury. You know, we can buy any car, we can go on vacation, we can do anything because the mobster provides. But we said we have family values. We value those things, those principles. We church people. We try to stay away from sins. Now I guarantee you that member of the family may not be invited to those type of meeting anymore because, well, he doesn't seem to belong there. Because bringing that problem to the surface for everybody to address is not what that family want to hear. Because, you know, you have a place to stay, you have a chauffeur that takes you to wherever, to parties, the concert, to the airport. I mean, you have a great life. Economy is good. Courtesy of the master married to Sister Jen. So all those values, that family sitting around the table talking about having our things are going well, we like the way things are going, close-knit family. So in all superficial aspect of the situation, if someone is observing from a distance, it's a great family. They seem to be, they get along together, brother playing with sisters and so on, I guess the little one. But, you know, the grown up, they have close relationship. And as far as that particular family is concerned, this is exactly what family is supposed to be. But despite what I just described to you, yes, it's a good thing for family members to live like that. It's actually good. Communicate, help each other, and so on and so forth. But as one member of the family asked, how come we claim to have all those values and we are okay with Sister Jane married to a mobster? And today that's exactly what the Republican Party is, pretending to have values, claiming to have values, preaching to have values. You go onto the website, you would think you're reading some novel because their action, their behaviors have nothing to do with what they claim to be. And they don't care about what anyone thinks, because as far as they're concerned, it doesn't matter as long as they keep saying it and their constituents keep believing it, keep thinking that's the case. Who cares what the rest of the country think? Who cares what Democrats think? Who cares what independent thinks? Now, Republicans have always been that way. It's not, it got worse, but it has always been that way. They've always been claiming to be certain things they never been. One of such I always give as example here is being fiscally conservative. You can go as far as Ronald Reagan and find out that that's just a myth. They say it, they repeat it, and yes, unfortunately, a lot of people believe it, even including not just Republican, but people from Democrat side, from independent side, believe that's the case. But you look at data, you look at stat, you find out that the idea of Republican being fiscally conservative is in words only. So they claim to be a lot of things they never been.
Now, the problem has exacerbated because of Donald Trump, who has a big mouth. And I've always said, and I repeat it here again, Donald Trump did not turn the Republican Party, its members, to what they are today. Donald Trump did not do any such thing. Now, for people who are saying that that's the case, you're gravely mistaken. The Republican Party, its members have always been what you're currently looking at. It has gotten worse, it has gotten off rail, and that's the reason now we're looking at it and we're saying, what the hell? Now, we studied a topic in which we try to introduce to you the big difference between Democrats and Republicans. Now, I'm not here to discuss your like or dislike, but to expose what really makes the two parties different. Democrats, as I mentioned before, we're not going to be spending a lot of time in this. That's why you don't see that I come up with pictures and so on to present to you, because we want to continue with the reading and read as much as possible, because, well, an event is fast approaching. The big difference between Democrats and Republicans is the following. Democrats tell the constituent, Democrat legislators that is, tell the constituent exactly what they're doing, what they are for. Now, Republican may not like it, you may not like the policy, you may not like the guideline, the principle, you may not like what they stand for. And this is not what in discussion, but they tell the constituent, the country, exactly what they're for. Republicans, on the other hand, Republican legislators that is, they lie to their constituent. And that's not something they do once or twice. They continuously lie to their constituent. And the irony of the whole thing is the constituent prefer to be lied to instead of being told the truth. They lie to their constituent about being fiscally conservative. Are they? As I mentioned, you can go as far back as Ronald Reagan and we'll prove it's not just a damn liberal speaking, as Republicans like to refer to anyone who point to the truth. But you'll find stat, data, not something that someone whip out of a hat. You have stat and data that prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that the idea of Republican being fiscally conservative is just an idea. But they never done anything that suggests that they are fiscally conservative. They are evangelical. They are Christian conservative. Now, besides what they have as preferences, but their lives, their actions say nothing about being Christian, let alone being Christian conservative. So the list goes on and on and on. And I gave you example before, just during the Trump administration, what Republicans just did in terms of adding to our debt for no reason whatsoever. $1.5 trillion. And take that money, 90% of that, and actually give it to large corporation and wealthy individual. They add it to our national debt. People who fiscally conservative. And they did that at a time when companies were reporting record revenue, record profit. What that means is everything going well for all those organizations. And that's exactly the time that Republicans chose to add to the national debt and take that money and give to those very corporations that's doing so well. So the idea of Republican claiming to be certain things and being that thing are two different things. And as I mentioned, the big difference between Democrats and Republicans, Democrats tell you exactly what they stand for, what they're for. You may not like it, you may not care for the policy, but one thing you cannot accuse Democrat legislators of is lying to you. But your Republican legislators, that's the only way that they know to keep you under their grips. by lying to you because they're not going to do what they say that they are for. So Republican constituents are easy to manipulate, and they're very gullible because Republican couldn't possibly lie to Democrat that way. In fact, Democrat legislators cannot possibly lie to Democrat for long. There will be an uproar, as you can see in the Democrat Party, that there is always some sort of infighting. It is actually good for democracy because the idea of everybody dancing at the same beat, the same rhythm, is actually not good for any political party. So it's a good thing that happened in the Democrat Party, but in the Republican Party, unfortunately, the constituents are gullible, naive, so the Republican legislators know how to manipulate them. Simply lie to them and tell them something else. And I already gave you the example. This is not just, as my fellow Republican like to say, some damn liberal talking. Just 2 years ago, 2017, Republican legislators lied to their constituent about a tax cut. Drumming the beat. Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, they're all out there drumming the beat of a tax cut. They borrow $1.5 trillion. They use 10% to distribute among the people, and 90% they give it to large corporations and wealthy individuals. Now, the Republican constituents were gullible, naive. Now, their defense is, oh, I don't care, at least I get something. What they really referring to, they see $60 or $80 on their paycheck and they think, yay, tax cut. I don't care how much they give to large corporations. And as I explained to you before, it was a loan. It's not money that we have. They borrowed it, which means the money that you're saying, yeah, I don't care, has to be returned, has to be repaid with interest. Now, you may not be the person repaying it, but your children, your grandchildren will. So no, you didn't get a tax cut. You get money from a loan taken by the Republican legislators, which money you have to return later with interest. But that's fine because, well, if you borrow money, you enjoy it now that you need it, but later on you don't mind repaying for what you borrow. But there is also a much bigger problem. The 90% that's distributed to large corporations and wealthy individuals, you know, the major portion of the money, guess what? You are responsible for that too. Oh yes, not some damn liberal telling you that. It's the legislation that the Republican crafted. You see, Republicans know that Republican constituents are naive, gullible, and I would say downright ignorant. That's why they're able to lie to them continuously, constantly, and they get to keep their job. Where else would they be able to do that? You know why Donald Trump ran for presidency, for the presidency of the United States as a Republican? It's because I guarantee you it would have not gone anywhere with Democrats. Yes, the same Democrat that you would never vote for would not have accepted somebody like Donald Trump to become the nominee. So the idea that there is a big divide is that Democrats tell their constituent exactly what they for, and the constituent actually prefer that. Now, you may not like it, as I mentioned. You may not like policies. You may not like certain things that Democrat legislators bring forth to the surface, which is fine. This is part of the whole process. But at least they don't lie to you. Republican legislators, I guarantee you, no matter what they say they're going to do for you, they lie to you. They either give you partial truth or they completely lie to you. So the Donald Trump problem is not a new problem in the Republican Party. It has exacerbated under Donald Trump, but it was always there. So yes, Republican constituent, you may not like Democrats because you don't like their policies. You don't like what they stand for. You have a bunch of complaints. But you also are being lied to on a regular basis by your Republican legislators. So the idea that Democrats are big spenders, Republicans are not, is just in your mind, in your head, but the reality is different. Because in every Republican administration, the debt has gone up. At least Democrats have been trying to pay down the debt. No matter what you hear your Republican legislators are telling you about the debt, if you look at from Ronald Reagan to today, under every Democrat, there are a lot of activities, a lot of policies that are passed trying to bring down the debt. Under Republican, it's always the opposite. Yes, the very people that's telling you they're fiscally conservative, under Republican administration, the debt always goes up. They borrow more money. Just an example, that just happened in 2017. You don't have to go far. But if you want stat, go as far back as Ronald Reagan and you'll find all those information right there in front of you that under every Republican administration, they spend money that they don't have to spend. But the minute that they finish spending the money, now they're blaming it on something else. Exactly like what Mitch McConnell did. After spending $1.5 trillion and giving it to large corporations and wealthy individuals, guess what it turns to? Let's cut entitlement. Now, the entitlement that we're talking about has always been around. In fact, that's a safety net for a lot of people who are struggling financially. But here's the part that baffles me with Republican rationale. You take $1.5 trillion, you gave it to a corporation that's already making profit, and now you turn back and say, let's cut entitlement, which means from the very people that actually need financial help. That is baffling to me. I never could comprehend that rationale from the Republican. Borrow money to give to those corporations that already have plenty, that's making profit, and then you turn back and you say, well, in order to address the debt, we have to cut entitlement. But you didn't think of that before you take that big chunk, huge chunk of money to give to those who already have? That's really baffling to me. But that's the Republican way of saying that they are fiscally conservative. And guess what? Their constituents seems to be okay. So the rationale, that's why you see Donald Trump fits right at home, because he can lie and lie and lie every day. Then it does not matter, because Republican constituents are naive, gullible, and ignorant. And as far as they're concerned, it just doesn't matter. If they lie to, they prefer to be lied to than to being told the truth, because you know what? They don't like the truth. Well, I hate Democrats. Well, Democrats do tell the constituent the truth. Yes, you may not like the policies, which is okay. But in order to compare Democrat with Republican, then your Republican legislature have to actually stand for something. The only thing that they do is lie to their constituent, because every time that they say something, what they do is actually detrimental to the constituent. So how could anyone stand for that? are now reading the Mueller report, volume 2 of the Mueller report. Volume 2 is where Mueller discusses in great detail crime committed by the President of the United States, obstruction of justice. Now, in case you don't know what that means, when an individual, public official, is being investigated for whatever that individual is being investigated. Now, if that individual uses his or her office, government office, in order to prevent the investigation from being done, it's called obstruction of justice. Now, in the case of Donald Trump, he didn't just try one thing, he attacked in many fronts. And that's what discussed in volume 2 of the Mueller report. It is also a reminder too that on July 17, just a few days away, Robert Mueller will be on Capitol Hill in order to talk and answer questions about the report. Because as we found out after the report has been released, that William Barr, who is the Attorney General, has been doing the Donald Trump bidding. Instead of working for the country, William Barr has been out there defending Donald Trump. Now, in case you don't know what that means either, the Attorney General, although appointed by the President, is not there to serve the President. If the President needs help with legal issues, he has to hire his own attorney, personal attorney. And also on top of that, the presidency of the United States has provided legal help for the president in case the president needs help. The Attorney General is not there for that reason. The Attorney General is supposed to serve the people of the United States, not the President of the United States. But since William Barr has been confirmed, he has been doing anything but serving the people of the United States. He has been bending backward and forward to defend Donald Trump. As such, when Mueller sent the report to him, he issued a 4-page letter in which he tried to suggest that Mueller exonerated Donald Trump, which Donald Trump and team ran with and said that there were no collusion and they were exonerated. Robert Mueller never said any such thing. And that's the predicament the country is in, that all our institutions, including the Constitution of the United States, have been eroded because the individual who is in the Oval Office, instead of upholding the Constitution, instead of making certain that the rule of law is applied, and has been the one destroying those institutions and trampling the rule of law. And the Republican legislators say, who cares? So Robert Mueller will be on Capitol Hill and will be shedding light on some of those nuances, especially his language, that has left people more confused and unable to bring the matter to a final conclusion that the President of the United States did indeed commit a crime.
The order appointing me special counsel authorized us to investigate actions that could obstruct the investigation. And we conducted that investigation, and we kept the office of the acting Attorney General apprised of the progress of our work. And as set forth in the report, after that investigation, if we had had confidence that the President clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so.
If we had confidence that the president did not commit a crime, we would have said so. How is your English? Statutory and constitutional defenses. We're now back to reading the Mueller report. The President's Counsel raised statutory and constitutional defenses to a possible obstruction of justice analysis of the conduct we investigated. We concluded that none of those legal defenses provided a basis for declining to investigate the facts. Statutory defenses. Consistent with precedent and the Department of Justice general approach to interpreting obstruction statute, we concluded that several statutes could apply here. See 18 U.S.C. 1503, 1505, 1512b3, 1512c2. Section 1512c2 is an omnibus obstruction of justice provision that covers a range of obstructive acts directed at pending or contemplated official proceeding. No principle of statutory construction justifies narrowing the provision to cover only conduct that impairs the integrity or availability of evidence. Section 1503 and 1505 also offer broad protection against obstructive acts directed at pending grand jury, judicial, administrative, and congressional proceeding, and they are supplemented by a provision in Section 1512b aimed specifically at conduct intended to prevent or hinder the communication to law enforcement of information related to a federal crime. Constitutional defenses. As for constitutional defenses arising from the president's status at the head of the executive branch, we recognize that the Department of Justice and the courts have not definitively resolved these issues. We therefore examine those issues through the framework established by Supreme Court precedent governing separation of power issues. The Department of Justice and the President's personal counsel have recognized that the President is subject to statutes that prohibit obstruction of justice by bribing a witness or suborning perjury because that conduct does not implicate his constitutional authority. With respect to whether the President can be found to have obstructed justice by exercising his powers under Article 2 of the Constitution, we concluded that Congress has authority to prohibit a President's corrupt use of his authority in order to protect the integrity of the administration of justice. Under applicable Supreme Court precedent, the Constitution does not categorically and permanently immunize a president for obstructing justice through the use of Article 2 power. The separation of powers doctrine authorizes Congress to protect official proceeding, including those of courts and grand juries, from corrupt, obstructive acts regardless of their source. We also concluded that any inroad on presidential authority that would occur from prohibiting corrupt acts does not undermine the president's ability to fulfill his constitutional mission. The term corruptly set a demanding standard. It requires a concrete showing that a person acted with an intent to obtain an improper advantage for himself or someone else, inconsistent with official duty and the rights of others. A preclusion of corrupt official action does not diminish the president's ability to exercise Article 2 powers. For example, the proper supervision of criminal law does not demand freedom for the president to act with a corrupt intention of shielding himself from criminal punishment, avoiding financial liability, or preventing personal embarrassment. To the contrary, a statute that prohibits official action undertaken for such corrupt purposes furthers rather than hinders the impartial and even-handed administration of the law. It also aligns with the president's constitutional duty to faithfully execute the laws. Finally, we concluded that in the rare case in which a criminal investigation of the president's conduct is justified, inquiries to determine whether the president acted for a corrupt motive should not impermissibly chill his performance of his constitutionally assigned duties. The conclusion that Congress may apply the obstruction laws to the president's corrupt exercise of the powers of office accords with our constitutional system of checks and balances and the principle that no person is above the law. Conclusion. Because we determined not to make a traditional prosecutorial judgment, we did not draw ultimate conclusion about the president's conduct. The evidence we obtained about the president's action and intent present difficult issues that would need to be resolved if we were making a traditional prosecutorial judgment. At the same time, if we had confidence after a thorough investigation of the fact that the president clearly did not commit obstruction of justice, we would so state. Based on the facts and the applicable legal standard, we are unable to reach that judgment. Accordingly, while this report does not conclude that the president committed a crime, it also does not exonerate him. Legal framework of obstruction of justice.
The order appointing me special counsel authorized us to investigate actions that could obstruct the investigation. And we conducted that investigation, and we kept the Office of the Acting Attorney General apprised of the progress of our work. And as set forth in the report after that investigation, if we had had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so.
If you are a patriot, you cannot not be outraged. Because this is not a matter of being Democrat or being Republican. Because the very reason that our democracy survives is because of that very structure of our government. The minute that you don't have any oversight, then at that point, the idea of democracy in the United States of America ceases to exist. So if you are a Republican and you think it's okay, then you too are no patriot. There is no other word of saying it. No matter what you hear people saying, trying to sugarcoat, trying to go around to explain it to you, that's all it means. If you are okay with what is currently going on with Donald Trump, with the Republican Party, you categorically are not a patriot. And no matter what you think of yourself, you are not a patriot. Because a patriot is someone who would give up, who would make sacrifice sometimes of his or her own life, let alone sacrifice a political party in order to preserve the democracy, in order to preserve the Constitution, in order to preserve the rule of law. So if you cannot do that, don't talk to anyone about being patriot, because you are no patriot. Background, legal, and evidentiary principles, legal framework of obstruction of justice. The May 17, 2017 appointment order and the special counsel regulation provide his office with jurisdiction to investigate, quote, federal crimes committed in the course of and with intent to interfere with the special counsel investigation, such as perjury, obstruction of justice, destruction of evidence, and intimidation of witnesses, end of quote. 28 CFR 600.48. Because of that description of our jurisdiction, we sought evidence of our obstruction of justice investigation with the element of obstruction offenses in mind. Our evidentiary analysis is similarly focused on the element of such offenses, although we do not draw a conclusion on the ultimate question that governs a prosecutorial decision under the principle of federal prosecution. See Justice Manual 9-27000 at Sequoia 2018. Here we summarize the law interpreting the element of potentially relevant obstruction statute in an ordinary case. This discussion does not address the unique constitutional issues that arise in an inquiry into official acts by the President. Those issues are discussed in a later section of this report addressing constitutional defenses that the President's counsel have raised. See Volume 2, Section 3.b infra. The basic elements are common to most of the relevant obstruction statutes. 1. An obstructive act. 2. A nexus between the obstructive act and an official proceeding. And 3. A corrupt intent. See e.g. 18 U.S.C. 1503, 1505, 1512 C2. We describe those elements as they have been interpreted by the courts. We then discuss a more specific statute aimed at witness tampering, C 18 U.S.C. 1512B, and describe the requirement for attempt offenses and endeavors to obstruct justice, C USC 1503, 1512 C2. Obstructive act. Obstruction of justice law, quote, reaches all corrupt conduct capable of producing an effect that prevents justice from being duly administered, regardless of the means employed, end of quote. United States versus Silverman, 745 Ed.2D, 1386, 1393, 11th Circuit, 1984. interpreting 18 USC 1503. An effort to influence, in quote, a proceeding can qualify as an endeavor to obstruct justice even if the effort was subtle or circuitous, and however cleverly or with whatever cloaking or purpose it was made. United States versus Roe 529 F.2D 629 632 Circuit 1975. See also United States versus Qualtron 441 F.3D 153 173 Second Circuit 2006. The verbs, quote, obstruct or impede are broad and can refer to anything that blocks, makes difficult, or hinders, end of quote. Marinello versus United States 138 S.CT 1101 1106 2018, internal brackets and quotation marks omitted. An improper motive can render an actor's conduct criminal even when the conduct would otherwise be lawful and within the actor's authority. See United States versus Cueto 151 F.3D 620 631 7th Circuit 1998, affirming obstruction conviction of a criminal defense attorney for litigation-related conduct. Also United States versus Santolo 818 of the 2D 980 992 First Circuit 1987. Any act by any party, whether lawful or unlawful on its face, may breach 1503 if performed with a corrupt motive. Nexus to a pending or contemplated official proceeding. Obstruction of justice law generally requires a nexus or connection to an official proceeding. In section 1503, the nexus must be pending, judicial or grand jury proceeding. United States versus Aguilar 515 U.S. 593 599 1995. In section 1505, the nexus can include a connection to a pending federal agency proceeding or a congressional inquiry or investigation. Under both statutes, the government must demonstrate a relationship in time, causation, or logic between the obstructive act and the proceeding or inquiry to be obstructed. ID at 599. See also Arthur Anderson LLP versus United States 544 US 696 707-708 2005. Section 1512C prohibit obstructive efforts aimed at official proceeding, including judicial or grand jury proceeding. 18 USC 1515A1A. For purpose of section 1512, an official proceeding need not be pending or about to be instituted at the time of the offense. 18 USC 1512F1. Although a proceeding need not already be in progress to trigger liability under section 1512C, a nexus to a contemplated proceeding still must be shown. United States versus Young 916 F.3D 368 386 4th Circuit to 2019. United States versus Petrock 781 F.3D 438 445 8th Circuit 2015. United States versus Phillips 583 F.3D 1261, 1264, 10th Circuit, 2009, United States versus Rich, 479 F3D, 179, 186, 2nd Circuit, 2007. The nexus requirement narrows the scope of obstruction statute to ensure that individuals have fair warning of what the law prescribes. Aguilar, 515 U.S. at 600, internal quotation marks omitted. What I'm currently reading is rather not only providing definition of the obstruction of justice, different aspect of it, but also providing references of cases that have made use of those example of those term that is using. At this point, yes, it may sound boring because it is its definition of terms. So we haven't got to the meat of the reading yet. But as promised, we're reading every aspect of the Mueller report. We are currently in volume 2. The nexus showing has subjective and objective components. The subjective matter, the defendant must act, quote, in a manner that's likely to obstruct justice, end of quote, such that the statute, quote, excludes defendant who have an evil purpose but use means that would only unnaturally and improbably be successful, end of quote. Aguilar, 515 U.S. at 601-602. The emphasis was added, internal quotation marks omitted. Quote, the endeavor must have the natural and probable effect of interfering with the due administration of justice, end of quote. ID at 599, citation and internal quotation marks omitted. As a subject matter, the actor must have, quote, contemplated a particular foreseeable proceeding, end of quote. Petrock, 781 F.3D at 445-446. A defendant need not directly impede the proceeding. Rather, a nexus exists if, quote, discretionary action of a third person would be required to obstruct the judicial proceeding if it was foreseeable to the defendant that the third party would act on the defendant's proceeding, on the defendant's communication in such a way as to obstruct the judicial proceeding, end of quote. Such as when Donald Trump said that Paul Manafort is hanging tough. United States versus Martinez, 862 F.3D 238, 2nd Circuit, 2017. Corruptly. The word corruptly provides the intent element for obstruction of justice and means acting knowingly and dishonestly or with an improper motive. United States versus Richardson, 676 F.3D 491, 508, 5th Circuit, 2012. United States versus Gordon, 710 F3D 1124, 1151, 10th Circuit, 2013. To act corruptly means to act with an improper purpose and to engage in conduct knowingly and dishonestly with the specific intent to subvert, impede, or obstruct the relevant proceeding. C18 USC 1515B. As used in section 1505, the term corruptly means acting with an improper purpose, personally or by influencing another. See also Arthur Anderson, 544 U.S. at 705-706, interpreting corruptly to mean wrongful, immoral, depraved, evil, and holding that acting knowingly corruptly in 18 U.S.C. 1512b requires consciousness of wrongdoing. The requisite showing is made when a person acted with an intent to obtain an improper advantage for himself or someone else, inconsistent with official duty and the rights of others. Ballantine Law Dictionary 276, 3rd edition, 1969. See United States versus Pasha 797 F3D 1122 1132 DC Circuit 2015. Aguilar 515 U.S. at 616 Scalia J. concurring in part and dissenting in part, characterizing this definition as the long-standing and well-accepted meaning of corruptly.
The order appointing me special counsel authorized us to investigate actions that could obstruct the investigation. And we conducted that investigation, and we kept the office of the acting Attorney General apprised of the progress of our work. And as set forth in the report, after that investigation, if we had had confidence that the President clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so.
I hope this presentation was useful to you. You already know what to do. Send us comments, criticism, suggestion. Let us know how we can make it better. As said many times before, this program is not going anywhere, so you might as well help make it better. If you have a particular topic you would like us to discuss here, to debate here, to talk about, let us know. We will research it, we will debate it right here on the Fourth Branch program, the place for common sense. In the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful afternoon or evening, whichever it happened to be. I hope to see you again tomorrow. We'll continue with the reading of the Mueller report as well, address other issues of importance to the nation. Good day. That was an update through the prism of common sense. Join us again tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. for a full presentation. I am MD, host of the Fourth Branch program, the place for common sense. Send us comments, criticism, suggestion, or simply let us know how we're doing. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful afternoon. See you next time.
The Fourth Branch podcast is brought to you in collaboration with the People Branch publication, which can be found on the People Branch website, located at peoplebranch.org. That's peoplebranch.org. That's peoplebranch.org website, in which you will find a number of very
interesting articles. My name is Mike Duchesne, MD for short. I hope you have a great afternoon or a great evening, whichever it happens to be. Hopefully you can join me again next time for another interesting episode of this podcast. That was the fourth branch, live from New York. Good day.